go ahead and say, "Yeah, let's screw over the Steelers who are not in our division. We know they're losing AJ Brown. Eh, we wanna gift wrap a receiver to the Philadelphia Eagles." I don't get it. Be that fucking petty?
It has to be for the George Pickens stuff. I mean, I don't know what other situation this could be, and that sounds really dumb. But it's like, why would you do that? And I blame Omar because at the end of the day, don't call somebody when you're not on the clock. I mean that is rule number one. That is literally rule number one. Do not call anybody until you're on. I'm not giving Omar any what's it called? I'm not, gonna okay, he didn't do that. I'm not gonna defend him in any way. No, this is his fault. You could have traded one more spot. The Browns, just like the Browns did, you could have done that. Or just like Dallas did, you could have done that.
But when we get into grades here in a little bit, I do wanna take a look and see it here because would Makai Lemon be a really good wide receiver 3 with wide receiver, 1 potential? Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he went where he did. But if you really did solve your other tackle position, and when we talk about the grades, I'm I love the nickname IMAX. I cannot wait. I love that nickname. But and I've seen a lot of people like, well, he won't help us this year. He's gonna sit on bench. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that. Man, I'm just telling you, if you haven't watched all the tape that's been put out there on X about him the last day or two, go watch it. Go watch it because my man against some number one draft picks looked really, really good. Another thing before we get into our draft grades. So we know what happened at pick 76. And I've seen a lot today. I think I heard it on all 3 radio shows. I've seen it on X, Kyler and Will Howard, and we're going to look to the future. What do you think there, Chris?
Of course, you're gonna advocate for Will Howard to be the starting quarterback on your favorite NFL team. Are we really gonna sit here, Steelers fans, and believe that Drew Aller is the answer? I mean, I've said this on the last 2 Fridays ago. He's not good in big games. His footwork is a mistake. Since we're comparing the two, go watch the Ohio State game. Yes, Will Howard threw a pick six in the first play. I think it was the first play of the game where Will Howard throws a pick six. I believe Drew Aller threw for like 120, while Will Howard threw for like 180. Way more pass attempts for more completions. Now, granted, we know Ohio State did have Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Ibuka, and Carter Tate, but that's not my point. My point is the size difference. People are talking about Drew Aller's arm. Have you seen Will Howard's? He is not Pittsburgh's new franchise quarterback. Now, to Aaron Rodgers. Boy, am I might regret Will Howard, Drew Aller, and Mason Rudolph as your 3 quarterbacks going into September. Aaron Rodgers, please. For the last time, because I did this last year, right? When I realized our freaking QB group was Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. Aaron, stop. Sign on the dot, and do what you can to mentor both these guys. I feel like Aaron Rodgers could give McCarthy a pointer. This is who I think should kind of lead the way when I'm out of here. Aaron, come for one more year. If you shit the bed, if you get hurt, and one of these guys happen to pull a Justin Fields, you don't get rid of them this time. I'm at that point.
I like Awesome Angels here. Open quarterback competition, Drew Aller versus Will Howard. My money's on Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, he didn't, dude. What was that? It wasn't the Jags. It was the second preseason game last year. I was like, oh, was it Carolina? That I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, Skylar Thompson. He was actually not playing that bad. But no, if this is our QB group, get Will Howard. Get Aaron Rodgers to come back, because I do not trust a sloppy-footed Drew Aller who cannot win in big games when Will Howard has proven he can. I just again,
You know,
it's a tough one. It's a tough one because we
yeah, you know,
the kids coming off an injury, so I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it is what it is. I've seen the film. I watched his games. The,
yeah, you know, I'll be honest with you. If this is really our quarterback room, if Aaron doesn't come back, you know, Bernard played in the backfield some at Alabama, and they've compared him to Debo. I mean, I say we just go wildcat single wing and see what happens.
at this
And
point, we might have
you know,
to.
yeah, we might have to do some interesting things on day. Well, that then again, we got Caden Witch, and he'll score all our touchdowns on kick returns. Which, yeah, let's. Speaking of which, let's jump into it and take a look at the draft. So we're going to grade on two different things. We're going to grade on the value of the pick and the player himself because it's two different things. A lot of these guys have caught a lot of shit
Mhm.
because of where they were picked. And I don't necessarily know from a player standpoint whether it's as justified as we think it is versus when Omar decided to take him. And look, I love Omar. I defend Omar. I've said his drafts were really good but man, this felt like too cute by half. This felt like Matt Canada was running the draft.
Oh.
So let's jump right in. So Max, IMAX, cool nickname. I love it. He goes at pick 21. What are we thinking for value here, Chris, at pick 21? We know who Omar was on the phone with.
Value, I to take a guard or an offensive lineman in the first round. And, obviously Vega, ironically, right, goes to Baltimore. So, we kind of get screwed in more than one ways. But by the positioning that we need, I have to give it an A just because that is a position that I was really I was hoping for Vega, but if we weren't going to go out there and get a Makai Lemon, if the Steelers weren't going to actually go out there and do it down there, I have to give this an A. It's not the perfect pick, but I have to give it an A because that's what we need right now.
So I'm going to give for value here a B minus. And the reason why is because I actually had him as my fourth best tackle in the draft. I really I thought we were going to take Caden Proctor. I didn't realize he was going to go so high because a lot of people had him as the fourth and fifth tackle on the board. I had him slightly ahead of Max, but I like Max a lot. And if you've watched a little on X, Trey Essex has been raving about him.
Spring, the
Love the
unofficial
speed.
new year
Everybody
for
says he's
tool
a project.
people.
I don't think
New
that. I
jobs,
do
new
think he's
All right, what's
a
going on?
really good right tackle. And I think at this point there is some rumbling and truth to the fact that, Fatano played left tackle. It was not the blind side of with Michael Penix, but he did play left tackle. So it's not like it's, something completely unknown to him over there. So if you move him over there, Fatano over there, assuming Broderick is not healthy,
Mhm.
okay, and McCormick and Frazier, man, that's a really good offensive line. And you know what? Knock on wood, if Broderick's back healthy, okay, well, maybe Broderick beats Max out, and then they keep the line the way it was at the end of last year.
Mhm.
But yeah, the only thing I'm going to say here though is I had Max graded as like 28, 29 on on my big board. So taking him at 21, I get it. The guy you wanted, logical thing was to go Concepcion. He goes
Mm.
4 picks later to the Bills, or 3 picks later, or to the Browns. I'm sorry. That's why I give this a B minus. So, what'd you think of the player himself, though? What do you think of Max as a player?
This could be. I thought he was a pretty good player at Arizona State. Now I did see some of his film. Number 2 overall
Mhm.
pick that went to New York. Is a better is it could be a questionable pick. I don't know. Again, if he has to, I'm not saying every time or whatever, but the circumstances be if he goes against a Miles Garrett, right? Trey Henderson's still in the division. It's not like he left. Which Cincinnati, are you dumb? Anyway, him on that matchup for the player, I'm gonna give it a B. He gets his potential there. He maybe starts out pretty good, maybe even better than Broderick his rookie year. I think this only played 1 year at Arizona State, to my knowledge, and he spent 2 years at JUCO. So that is, with the
Yeah.
experience, I understand. I'm not going to get into the kid's experience level, all this, and that. Last time we went all in on a O lineman in the first draft or first round, I just cannot think to help myself but to think about Broderick. That's why this pick scares me just a little
Well,
bit.
don't forget about Fatano.
And for the yes, okay,
So
that yes, fair, fair. I just think too much about
so I'm
Broderick
I'm gonna
because I'm not a big fan of the kid.
I'm gonna give him an A minus because watching him play, and it wasn't just against David Bailey. He didn't just were the fucking idiot Cowboys 20th pick.
Mhm.
Um, Made him look pretty bad too. And the hardest thing at tackle to teach, I think, is the footwork. But if you've got and I think that's why Broderick struggled so much on the right side and why he played a lot better on the left side last year. It wasn't great, but it was better. This guy has the footwork. A guy bigger and stronger and teach him. This guy, he's not like Caden Proctor, for example, who would have been slower as a left tackle, but ultimately he was such a huge and that's it. You ain't going anywhere. Kind of like tackle who just kind of, hey, give me a hug and that's it. So I like IMAX. I like him as a player. I always thought he was a first. Yes. That's why I give it a B minus on value. This guy was a first round talent, though. He was not getting out of the first round.
No,
So
yes.
I think we can reserve a little judgment here. So let's switch over to give it a C minus. Actually, no. I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna say D plus. And here's
You do
why.
not like this
You
pick.
gave up pick 135. 53 to 4
Mhm.
on had him as the third, maybe the fourth receiver on the board. I know some people had him as high as the best wide receiver available in the second round. But based on where it was and who's there and everything else, man, I would have sat at 53. And if so be it, if I get Chris Bell and we didn't, I had a real problem with that because there were really good players on the board at 121 and 135 that we passed. I almost gave it an F, but after watching tape, I upgraded it to a D plus. What do you think?
Yeah, so I didn't catch the the rest of the draft live. I was doing some other stuff, some family stuff on Friday night, so didn't really off the top of my head know who was on the board at that time. And I'll give it a C minus. Almost like kind of like you said, he would have been available. I thought again, it kind of is because he needed a receiver, and he maybe thought that get him before somebody else does. Just like what happened
Mhm.
with Makai Lemon. Maybe to not that degree. I don't think, he's sitting here saying, okay, we cannot miss out on this kid. We got to go. But I chance to get him. And I think they put a lot of time on getting him. They knew they wanted him in that second round. That's what you have to do. If you, not the right player, but if you know reasons, I would give it a. He could help a lot in the slot. But again, this was not the player to make that trade for. And it wasn't like a
So
10, 6, 7 spots. Like it really wasn't that big of a deal.
so it certainly wasn't the biggest reach of the second round because Dejon Stribling at pick 33. I'm still trying to figure that out. San Francisco, thanks. Denzel Boston. Then you trade up to pick 47 to get Bernard. Okay, but then you look at the rest of the round. Nobody board was Antonio Williams to the Commanders, who's kind of a slot guy who doesn't go to pick 71. And then Malachi Fields, which I'm surprised he went as high as he did based on the 40 time, but you can't teach size. So, I'm happy to see my Notre Dame guy go. But yeah, I mean, there were some, Brazil, Zachariah Branch, if you're going that type of receiver, Ted Hurst, Bryce Land, and say, okay, I'm gonna move up because I want to get XYZ when nobody else picks wide receiver behind you and nobody goes again to because you mentioned smooth route runner. Okay. Now I did put this out on TikTok that when the first thing they say about a slot receiver is, well, he doesn't have top end speed, but he's a good route. But quickness and route running does factor more than straight line speed.
Mhm.
So I can see where it can work. I've watched enough of his tape now to know that I compared Chris Bell to Hines Ward. I can squint my eyes and see a little Hines here, not as much as I could see with Chris Bell. For the player, based on I don't think he can ever play outside. He's got to be an underneath. Poor man's Debo Samuel. That's a pretty good pick in this, in the second round. So based on the player, I'm going to give him a B.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Again, it is a position we need very, very much. He completes that, in my opinion, he completes that receiver core. I think, well, call me biased. I think Will Howard and him would be great. I think Will Howard throwing him the ball would be great. But no,
Is there anybody you don't think will Howard?
we can talk. No, that's fantasy land. That's what we call fantasy booking. But no, and a real note, he's solid. Played well against big games, especially against Georgia. And
Mhm.
again, he has the good height. He's made some cool catches. He's actually made some like a lot, but like he turned the ball. So for player, I'd give him a B. I'd give him a B. I don't want to say B plus, but because I like his I don't like his size too much. Is what I meant to say.
I got you. I got you. All right, so let's talk about the man of the hour. I'll let you go first. What's the
Boo.
value of Drew Aller? I
Value.
think I know where we're both going here.
I'm giving it a D, a D chart. I'm not going to, gets rid of Mason Rudolph if I'm being honest. Which for Drew Aller, you could debate, but this is my thing. The kid. This is just a personal. The kid didn't even. That just hurts my heart to know that. You saw it. He did not want to put that hat on. Now, I'm not saying this because Will Howard is a an Ohio State guy and I like him more. Well in big games. He has saved our. I'm not saying over any like Will Howard comeback, but he never wins them. He never finishes. He always
Mhm.
does that one thing at the end of the game. He's a turnover machine, ladies and gentlemen.
An F. And I'll tell you,
He's a turnover machine, ladies and gentlemen.
an F. And I'll tell you, and let's just talk about this: Atlanta, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and then the Steelers again. So the likelihood that Drew Aller gets picked from between pick 76 and 85 is low to me. Okay. Then you turn around after you pick at 85. Immediately following you was Cleveland. Cleveland went the next pick to Green. Cleveland went the next pick to Green. You're looking at Ted Hurst was on the board. You're looking at Ted Hurst was on the board. The Emmanuel Pregnon is there. The Emmanuel Pregnon is there. There's all kinds of options. There's all kinds of options for you at pick 76. And I would have for you at pick 76. And I would have not have hated doubling up on wide receiver there. And we still
All
could
right,
have
quick
took
timeout in today's
our fourth
video. I
round
want
pick
to talk to you
went
guys
back
about our
way back
sponsor,
then.
G
Now that
Fuel
being
Energy.
said,
If you're anything
I
like
give
me,
the
you're locked in for late.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what Omar was fucking thinking. This was a bad number one. He's a Steeler now, so I got to root for him. Thinking this was a bad number one. He's a Steeler now, so I got to root for him. So I'm going to give him a C. All right. I was swayed a little for him, so I'm going to give him a C. All right. I was swayed a little bit with the talk, so I'm going to give him a C. All right. I was swayed a little bit with the talk today. Why didn't you let him loose? Why didn't you turn him loose? Well, I wasn't the head coach. Okay. So he kind of hinted that the head coach hurt him a little bit. I still think you're the guy delivering the ball and making the throw. I don't see balls and moxie on this kid. I just don't. Maybe he grows into it, but I'm sorry. If you're choking in college, I don't see how you break that habit in the NFL. Okay, you either have it or you don't. Now, I don't see how you break that habit in the NFL. Okay, you either have it or you don't. Now, hey, look, you went up top, you were down 7 and you made a big throw and you forced it on with you. Now, that being said, like I said, he's a Steeler. I'm going to root for him. I'm not part of the Penn State back and forth in the fan base, but every Pitt fan does not want this guy. Okay. And they remember what the Penn State fans did to Kenny. they're going to go after him like that. What's sad is this is this is another reason I'm giving it an F. If Drew Aller somehow gets on the field, and let's just say Aaron comes back, but halfway through the year it ain't working out, so they put Drew Aller on the field. If Drew Aller gets on the field and plays even remotely well, there's a chance the Steelers don't pick a quarterback next year. And if that happens, man, have we screwed ourselves. So
And you know what?
that's my thought.
I gotta be honest too. I gotta stick to my gut, even if it's I mentioned with Will Howard whatever. If you throw Drew Aller in there, he takes you 4-2 or whatever. You gotta keep him in. You gotta keep
Yeah.
him in. So
I mean,
no,
it's
I agree. I agree. I'm not thrilled about it. Um, but again, I mean, I'm just hoping I'm having a little bit more faith in McCarthy. If he's this big quarterback whisperer, especially if Aaron and him do come back this season, I think any of these guys would be okay under McCarthy. So we'll see. Right
yeah.
now I'm obviously not thrilled about it, just because I think again, this might sound so biased, but I think the Steelers organization, some Steelers fans are like, well, we need somebody. Will Howard, they look at him 6th-round pick, this and that. I'm like, I don't know if they really seen the kid play. I'm just talking about the general Steelers fans, because I don't really understand how people could sit here and tell me, if you really watch college football, that you would rather have this kid over Will Howard. It's crazy
Yeah.
to me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win the Will Howard competition. I mean, like I said, I think
It
it was
sucks. You
Austin
know
Angels
what?
who
It
put it out.
sucks. It sucks.
Skylar Thompson wins that quarterback competition if it's an open competition.
I
So
was gonna say,
let's
it
talk about
sucks
him.
that we didn't get to see him in the preseason last year. I think that would have gotten us a little bit more of an idea. A lot of Steelers fans, a little bit of an idea on Will Howard. But yeah, I agree. We'll move on.
Yeah, let's talk about this next pick. Okay, Dalen Everett. So from a value standpoint, I don't hate this one as much as I hated some other ones. I'm gonna actually give this a C plus, and the reason why is because I do think he fills a need and he doesn't have to play right away. I think he could help on special teams. He's a really good tackler. He is a slot corner. Okay, so more than likely he's sitting behind Brandon Eccles and Jalen Ramsey, depending on how they use them. I don't see, barring injury, him getting on the field. I do think he can help a little bit on special teams because, like I said, he's a really good tackler. Um, the only reason I give it a C plus, honestly, and this is another one where, I my man, fucking first round talent. Everybody said he was a talent. Now I know his knee is really bad, really bad. But come on, Omar took Fatanu and gave him a red shirt medical year. Take Jermod McCoy. You just do. Now, as far as the player goes, I will say this. I like Everett as a player. I do think there is some upside here. I'm only giving him a B minus because I don't think he's going to get on the field barring injury. But 2 years from now, we're really going to like this pick.
Yeah.
This was a really good cornerback. And remember, Omar's only trainer in the NFL, probably top 10 at the worst. And, Mr. Glass, Corey Trice. So I give him an A for Joey. I give him a F for Corey Trice. I like this pick. I just do. I like Dalen Everett. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I agree. For the value, um, I'd give it a B, because at Georgia he played a lot of. Um, he did play outside corner at Georgia. Took a lot of it, but he took s- some reps at the nickel spot too. So he can play really anywhere in that corner spot. He is 6'1", so that's not bad. That's not great. But like you said, I think in a few years, he gets on the field, he looks good, especially in man, because I think that's why the Steelers went and target him. I think this could be a good 3rd-round pick. For the player, I like him. Also give him a B. I think like you said, he might not see the field for a year, maybe even two. Um, but I think when he does, I think his aggressiveness and he'll if he gets a lot of picks, they're gonna use him a lot man to man. I think he'll be pretty cool. So I like the player. I like the pick. I have really no real complaint about this one other than I I'm not gonna, he did have some injuries. The other, or was it last year at Georgia? Yeah, last year at Georgia, he had some. I don't know what it was though. What? Oh,
Well, one thing about him too is, there was the knock on him in the draft process was they didn't always like when he how he reacted to getting beat, that he kind of went into a shell. And it's
oh, okay.
interesting that the guy he really got beat the worst by was our second round pick. So
Yeah,
was Omar
yeah,
playing
yeah.
some was Omar playing some 4D chess here and saying, "Hey, the only guy that he really beat him up in college, we picked him. So, hey, why not? Let's bring him in. We'll make sure that I don't know. I don't know. Now, this next guy, and I'm sorry. Now, number one, I will say this. This is not the guy I wanted to play guard. Pregnon was there to be had, and that's why I'll let you go first. I'll let you do the value and the evaluation of Dunker.
Mm, I mean, I didn't check too much of his film, but I do know they are trying to fill in again more of that offensive lines that spot. I don't know if this was the right pick. Again, I didn't watch the third round live. There could have been some other people left on the board, but again, value for the I'd give it a C. I mean, you, I'm not going to complain about getting another offensive tackle in the draft. You could just question is this the guy? But again, Iowa, they ran the ball a lot. Their pass game sucked. If he's decent in his run blocking, I don't mind that. I know the Steelers' new offensive line coach thinks highly of him. Maybe he could put him at a guard first, tackle second type of thing. So we'll see.
Oh,
For the
he's definitely they drafted him as a guard.
They
He
drafted him as a
projected
guard.
in the
Okay, so
NFL
yeah,
as a
right.
guard.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they'll put him at guard. If it doesn't work, maybe they'll try him at tackle. I think he could maybe fit both of those positions. So for the value C player, again, I didn't check too much of his film. I'll be honest, but from what I did see, he's not bad. But again, it's one of those things where his footwork could use a little bit of improvement. I'll just give him a C as well. He's one of the more. He's the most, how do I say this? He's the guy on this draft class.
I'm giving him a B because I really wanted Pregnon. I thought Pregnon was a second round talent, borderline first round talent. He's sitting there for you at pick 85. And, I went through it with Aller, which is why I gave him an F. But it's hard to be a Steelers fan and not love a guy who walks out waving the terrible towel with a huge red mullet.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a Steelers guy. Okay. He just is. Now, will he ultimately be a better guard than Pregnon? I don't think so. But does he have to rise to that level to be good? No, I think he's going to be on the Steelers for a while. I think this is a tailor made. If you drew up what a Steelers lineman should look like on a piece of paper and said, hey, go find that guy, that would be the guy. Now, the player himself, I'm giving this an A minus because number one, I do think he's going to be a very good guard. I thought he would have issues at tackle in the NFL, but I like him. I really like him. Okay. He's a guy who I think his run blocking is way ahead of his pass protection, but he's not a bad pass protector. And
Okay.
especially with Zach Frazier there to help him inside, I think there's some double team stuff he can do. I kind of reminds me a little bit of how McCormick was that nasty road grader coming out, and then he had to get there in pass protection. I think Dunker is a little better than McCormick was coming out as a prospect, but I do see if McCormick and Dunker are our guards for the next 5-8 years, I'm totally okay with it. And come on, I mean, He's a guy. He's a Steeler guy. I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's why I love Skoranek, the long hair, ready. I mean, I'm with Kaboli on this one. I don't see how any Steeler fan cannot like Jennings Dunker. I actually thought this was Omar's best pick of the first two nights. He saved it for last. Um, and we missed some opportunities, but I actually, yeah, from a pick standpoint, I actually give this one the best grade. Let's move on to the one that gives me heartburn. Okay. Alan Saunders put this out right after they picked him that he liked Wetchen as a player, but he had him 253 on his board. I always thought Wetchen would be a nice fit for the Steelers in the sixth fucking round. Okay. Maybe the seventh. Okay. Maybe you stretch in the fifth. Okay. And this is my problem with the whole day three. It seemed like we were picking special teams and, like very, hey, here's a cookie cutter. We want this. And is Wetchen the best returner in college football last year? Yes, he was. He's There's a lot to like about him. He's 4'6" and he's a small slot receiver. Okay. Although I did watch his tape at the Shrine Bowl, he looked pretty good in running some routes. So, and they do want to use him a little bit as a wide receiver. So I could see maybe a bubble screen gadget kind of play for him. And who knows, maybe he turns into a slot receiver. But from a value standpoint, I got to give this one another F. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Omar was thinking on
I
this.
gotta agree
And
with the F.
now, as far as the player goes, because he's strictly a returner, I'm going to give him a C. But this has B upside. So you agree
I
on the
think
F?
yeah, no, that's I agree on the F, and I think your player grading is pretty fair as well because I think he's just gonna get brought in here to fill in as a receiver. I know people are expecting that this guy's gonna replace the people think this guy has Calvin Austin written all over him. I don't see
Mhm.
it, but like you said, he can be. I'm gonna give it a C plus because he is the best returner. He led the FBS in college, the Big Ten or two-time Big Ten return specials of the year. So his college resume is pretty good, but um, he's not gonna be any valuable as a receiver. We got that. That's done. We we don't need. I mean, not that we don't need, but if we're looking at our three guys right now, we have that.
I would have liked to seen him get an actual receiver because, like I said, I think Wetchen would have been available, which
Yeah.
brings us to another guy with a Steeler name, Riley Nowakowski from Indiana. And if you watch their run, you know this guy. They got him listed as a fullback, but let's be realistic. He's a tight end, um, and and he can play a little fullback. Imagine kind of what they wanted Connor Hayward to be,
This is
except
yes.
for except for Connor Hayward, the smallest tight end in 50 years. This guy is very comparable in size to a guy we had last year at tight end who played some weird positions, um, who we all did not like very much. But you know, I kind of like this pick. I mean, from a value standpoint, I'm going to give it a D because again, this is another guy I think would have been available in the sixth, and there were some people here. But as far as the player goes, I actually give this a B plus. I think this is a guy who will make the team and can really help the team.
No, I agree. I think for value, I would give it a D as well because again, a lot of people had this guy going like 220, 215.
Mhm.
So again, he would have been available. You didn't have to go out and get him. But again, I like the player. I think this fills that quote unquote Connor Hayward replacement. I would give the player a B minus. Um, he played well at Indiana. He is a little undersized, but again, he's a hybrid player. You could use him to, block. You could have him do short outside routes if he wants to line up as a tight end. He could do a couple things. This is literally the Connor Hayward replacement. So I'm not thinking too
Yeah.
much of it other than you didn't have to go spend your 5th round pick and get him um
So
at 120 or excuse me 169. You didn't have to go get him at 169.
our man Somber coming in. What have we learned? Consensus boards don't mean a damn thing. Amen, Somber. Amen. Good to see you, by the way. Yes, hello. Um, I know Somber early on in the draft process pointed out how much he loved Caden Wetchen, but I don't think even he thought he was going in the 4th round. So but I do like this Riley kid. You know, he comps to Johnny Smith as far as physically,
Okay.
and we misused Johnny Smith a lot last year. But I like this guy, kind of a gadget guy, kind of a you know there's some interesting things here that can be done with him. So let's move on to another stunner. Wetjet didn't think he was going in the 4th. That's true. Did you hear the story? He's on the fucking golf course because he doesn't think he's going to get drafted. Little did he know, Omar Khan was out there panicking. So, uh, let me talk about Mr. Gabriel Rubio
Ooh,
as the
Mr. Northern
Notre
Dame.
Mr. Notre Dame. Okay, so this is another one I'm gonna give an F as far as value goes. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm actually a fan of this guy. I like Gabriel Rubio. There are some things to like about him in the run game. He is rivaling Corey Trice for how fucking injured he is. But
Mm-hmm.
when he's on the field, he's a good player. He he would have been there as an undrafted free agent. That's why I'm giving him an F. But the player actually helping the defensive line, I saw some people comparing him to Isaiah Loudermilk. I think he's better than Isaiah Loudermilk in the run game. If this guy stays healthy, he's probably a 4th round pick. But he didn't stay healthy. He didn't stay healthy multiple times, you know. And then Somber's pointing out the tape against Yoni, or however the fuck you say his name. He's a Raven, so I call him asshole now. Which by the way, what the fuck, Baltimore? You show up and you start in our own building. Do you understand how bad we're going to beat your fucking ass this year for that? We may only win 2 games, but they're going to both be against the fucking Ravens. I'll tell you that. Um,
They
but yeah,
cannot
I
take
mean,
they cannot take that AFC Championship game out of their head. Week 18, they
yeah,
can't. They can't. No, I think this pick made no sense.
yeah. I'm going to give Rubio a C plus. By the way, go ahead, go.
No, yeah, for the player he's fine, but okay, for value it's an F. I think it's an F. It's 100%. Do they need depth in the defensive line? Yes, but this pick made no sense. He was terrible. I honestly don't think he's ever been that good. He missed half of the 2020. Now, okay, that good. Yes, he's all right. I'm talking about this last season. He missed half of it. What was it? His lower back, upper back? I don't know if it's his lower or upper back, but one of his back, part of his back is all screwed. He's not even ranked on a list. You give me 600 players on this draft or whatever. He's not even on that. I will be shocked if he even stays on the roster. He's going to get cut. I like the
I don't
player.
think he'll get.
You don't think
I
he'll
don't
get
think
cut?
he'll get cut, but no, I think you have a good point though. You're actually
Fair. Fair, but get that back injury settled down because again, this is not that pick. I'm not look. Injuries are a part of the game. I'm not gonna, you're hurt, so I'm not gonna completely put my faith in you. But this is a draft. Like, this is not a pick that you needed to draft somebody. So I like the for the player. I'll give him a C minus. I think he's good when he's healthy, but he can't stay healthy.
yep. So were you saying the collective who for Robert Spears Jennings when they picked him?
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm not familiar with Robert Spears Jennings. I know he's a safety. I did see a little bit like a clip or two. I forget who it was, but I mean he's
He's
physical.
a
I mean
4-3 safety.
he's quick. You know those little speed guys. But the reality is he's gonna be a special teams guy. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
I don't see. I like the player. I think the player. I I'll be honest. I'll give him a B minus. The player. I don't think he's a bad player, but again, he's gonna be a special teams guy. He's undersized. I don't think he's gonna fit in that safety rotation. I would give the value a D. I'd be shocked if he gets rotated in there, consistently.
so and Sommer's got a good point here that he is a good tackler. He's got straight line speed, and this is exactly what I thought too. And this is my problem with the pick. It's a seventh round pick, so I'm not going to be too hard on value here. I'm going to give him I'm going to give him a C for value. I actually think this is another really good pick. Actually, I'm going to give him a B because I do think he is. That's exactly what they drafted him for, is to be the gunner
Yeah.
on special
Yep.
teams. I'm kind of surprised that we went returner in the fourth round. We should have gone gunner in the fifth. I'm just kidding. We should not have. Um, but yeah, I actually like straight line speed. He's got to develop a lot in the safety. I was watching some tape on him and listening to somebody analyze him, and they say straight line speed really good, tackler really good. If a guy cuts and runs an in, a post, an out, a curl, he can't stop. He can't run
Yep.
sideways. So he's got some work to do. But if he's a great special teams player, Miles Killebrew is a great special teams player.
Yeah.
If he's that replacement, I'm okay with that. So
Yeah. No, I agree. He has a
then,
he don't all tonight. I am curious. There's three people, especially Dunker. I do want to see his film, but there are a couple people on. And then Friday, next time we talk, I'll probably have more on him as well. But yeah, he does not. That one thing I do know, he does not miss tackles. So Gunner for him will be perfect. And if he, hey, if he gets in there, some injuries happen. He don't miss tackles. I think he'll keep if he can keep his receivers in front of him. Just don't let him get by him. I think he could not work out again. His size is criminal. He's not good size, but if he can keep receivers in front of him and they're not overly quick, I think he if he makes a tackle, he's fine.
all right. So let's talk about the last pick in the draft. Eli Heidenreich, United States Naval Academy.
Respect. This was a feel good moment for Pittsburgh. This was the draft of Pittsburgh native in the last pick of the draft they had. Look, value. I mean, I gotta give it a D. I'm sorry. I mean, not because I don't mean. I thought the pick was
He was Navy's best player.
he was Navy's best player, but I'm just going off what we've drafted already. The player, I'm gonna give him a B plus. He played again Navy's best player. He's a Pittsburgh native. I just thought the whole thing about this pick was really good. I mean, he can play a lot of positions. He can play running back. Remember, I was telling you earlier, he's another person that we
Mhm.
got who can play both running back and wide receiver. Really good on triple option. Navy used him a lot in the triple option um formations, and what was it? He set a school record with I think like 950 receiving yards for 50 receptions or something like that. So I love the player.
Mhm.
He's a Pittsburgh native. This was a feel good moment. That's why I give the value a D. I think it was just, let's draft the Pittsburgh native with the last pick. I think he would have went undrafted. But the player, again, Navy's best player, good in the triple option, 950 receiving yards, um, and only 50 receptions, and they have him listed as a freaking running back. I think that's a pretty cool stat. That's why I give the player a B plus. But the reason why I give it a B plus, I just don't know how much playing time or how he's going to be used in this Steelers offense.
This is actually interesting. If Allen said that Wetchen's willing to line up in the backfield and motion out to slot. Now, if you have him doing the Gainwell stuff from last year, that's actually really interesting. Now, I couldn't more. I had Eli in the fifth round. Okay, so I'm. This is the only A I'm going to give Omar in value. Really, okay. Now look, there's a little overhyping going on with Eli Heidenreich. People are comping him to Christian McCaffrey,
We
very
got a Christian
similar
McCaffrey in the
measurables.
7th round. Woo! That's all I've been seeing.
he's he's very similar speed measurables, a little bit different player. This is another guy though who can do everything. If you have the right coordinator use him, then yes, he could. And I don't see him as Christian McCaffrey, but I think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be a slot receiver slash running back for them. I People had him as a fullback. I never thought he was a fullback. You know, and when he ran sub 4.5 at the 40 or at the combine, yeah, this guy is I like this pick a lot. The comp I saw that I love for Eli Heidenreich is Danny Woodhead. If Eli Heidenreich has
Okay.
Danny Woodhead's career, we stole it. And as far as the player itself, I'm ex Navy. I don't give a shit. I'm giving him an A plus for value.
I
Okay.
got a Navy blanket. I got when I was in high school. Um, when I was in high school, I was on the basketball team and football team, but my basketball team we did a weekend camp at the Naval Academy in Indianapolis, in Maryland. So it was really cool. We got to play at the Navy basketball courts. Got to see the Navy football field. Um, so yeah, I every time ever since then, I always root for Navy in the Army and Navy game. I got Navy merch. I support those guys. I do like to see, because I got to see a little bit being on their base. We got to see how the athletes like worked out, and then it was really different compared to traditional college athletics. So no, I like the pick. I like the kid. I like the player. I just again, if we're going by what I mean by value is I'm just looking at the guy. I think he's valuable. He could be valuable to our team, yes. But if I'm just looking at the other, positions and kind of gaps we filled in this draft, I don't know if he's gonna help us tremendously, but we'll see. I do like the kid. Overall, I don't think the draft was terrible. There are like, there are a few that you could just question. Why did you have to get him now? I'm not mad that you
Yeah.
got him, but why did you have to get him now? That's my only.
Well, he was their last pick in the draft.
No,
So
I'm talking about like the Notre Dame kid, defensive tackle we just talked about. Like, did
yeah.
you have to get him there? Or there's just you could say that for one or two people. I know you're talking about for Bernard. Did you have to trade up a couple spots just to get him when he probably would have fell at 53? That's the only thing. And then the Makai Lemon thing's very freaking embarrassing. I'm not gonna get over that. And it's not because Makai Lemon's just sensational stud and whatever. Oh, he's gonna impact the Pittsburgh offense more than DK or Pittman. No, it's the simple fact that your GM looks stupid calling somebody when he's not even on the clock. That's my only thing.
All right. Well, I know you got a hard stop here for Raw. You guys
Yes.
going live tonight during Raw?
Yeah, we'll be live on the YouTube. Yep, and then I do the AEW post shows on Wednesday on the Sports Chat Network. My guys do the NXT, the developmental show reviews on Tuesday. So yes, we'll be back here probably Friday. I'll be back here. I know I missed Friday, so I'll probably join you
Yeah.
if you're here Friday.
Actually, one quick thing. Friday, I am moving my daughter
Oh,
from
okay,
Florida
cool.
State, so I
Cool.
probably won't
Okay,
be on
cool.
Friday,
So
but
I'll
maybe
see
we
you
can go
next Monday.
Thursday or next Monday.
Yeah, okay. So I'll probably be with you here next Monday. But yeah,
Sounds good.
cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, guys, like, share, subscribe. Somber, thanks for showing up and sharing your thoughts on the draft. You always have great stuff. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Watch Chris's show tonight. If you love wrestling, they do great stuff over there on the Sports Jedi Network. 20,000 and growing subscribers, right, Chris?
Almost. We're at like 19 point. Yes, we had it, but a couple things happened. So yes, we're at like 19.5. So we're almost at 20,000. We should be there by then.